not to have a political discourse that is right against right. Okay, like on the abortion issue, you could see it in the U.S. in the longing for the elusive common ground. Okay, but those things are going to make all of that and the depth to which we live in a polarized world are going to make it harder and harder, I think, for human rights theory to be applied successfully on any number of issues. And that's not an encouraging statement, but that's my fear about hitching our, and I think we can all point to, but we've gotten the Inter-American Court of Human Rights to recognize this, and we got the Europeans to respond to this case. But I think those things are so, isolated and atomized against the larger way in which policy is set at the national and the international level to be less significant than our hopes would make them.
Well, let me build on that and take
Good.
the common ground post-human rights perspective and ask the question why a 2014 population conference would really even be necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Contraceptive prevalence is worldwide achieving almost full usage, with the exception of Africa. Family planning, reproductive health targets are in, or objectives are in the MDGs.
Mm-hmm.
This challenge of operationalizing reproductive health has largely, I think, been met. Integration is happening. Interesting things that in 1994 didn't seem possible are now possible, whether it's cervical cancer or dealing with all the elements of the causes of maternal mortality, et cetera. We're able to play in those spaces, and we're talking about health systems that work and meeting not only the unmet needs of women with regard to family planning or reproductive health, but all kinds of unmet needs that these women really, really have.
Yes.
Why do we, and in a world where we're going to go sit in an exotic foreign capital and have the Vatican and the United States and others repeat what they said in 94 and 84, et cetera, why go there?
Well, I'm not a strong advocate for the same kind of, I think in the same way that other things have changed, that the way in which we come together needs to change as well. So I think that the mechanisms that we have used for the past, since 1954 you had one kind of meeting, 1964 you had a slightly different meeting, 1974 was an improvement, 1994 for some was the high point of collaboration between government, but it was still the UN meeting in the same way. That those, I don't think those forms of meetings are particularly useful. So in terms of your question, you don't have an advocate for another UN conference. But I would say that, and I would include my experience with the PSI platforms in what I'm about to say. I would say that the need for further work on who women are and what they deserve is the kinds of things that you are talking about. First of all, there are still 215 million women who say they want contraception who don't have it. That's a pretty big gap. There is still unresolved maternal mortality of a number that could be resolved with very little investment. Health systems are still in very bad shape, in my opinion, worldwide. And the mindset of many good and decent people in the health community on women still, I'm going to use a colloquialism here, sucks. Absolutely sucks. The lack of recognition in many parts of the world of the horror of rape and incest is very high, very high. And, you know, to be totally frank, you've got some difficulties in your own platforms on issues related to violence against women and issues related to the status of women relative to the status of their male partners and decision-making.
The patriarchy is strong.
It's still, you know, right, it's, and you know, these are all good people, these are the best people, the best people. And those, I don't think, I'm not saying that those issues, I am not by any means suggesting